Welcome, this is Zangler, the Tesla Semi Advocate, and this video is entitled Giga Semi, It's Complicated. And that's in specific reference to the stamping pit, but really if you look around the site, like we will here in the next 19 minutes, you'll see a lot of activity going on. Some of which I can explain to you, and some of which I can't. I think we all know that the blue pipe is for potable water. And there's been a lot of work lately. They're unloading more of that fresh water, and they get that from Milan Avenue, which is just to the bottom of this video. The northernmost edge of the Tesla property at Giga Nevada abuts Milan Avenue, and that is where all the utilities are, including the drainage as you see there. So this video is somewhat delayed. It was actually, the drone flew on Monday, February 17th, 2025, President's Day. There have been a handful of delays causing me to not be able to get it out by now. So who can imagine what is done and been completed since this video was shot? So let's get into it. There's a lot more to talk about than just the, and to observe than just the stamping pit, although that is the star of the moment right now. There's a lot going on there and a lot to be done. When we get over there, I'll give you some projections on the timeline based on what they've done and what it looks like they still have to do. So we're flying around Giga Semi. It is President's Day, and I noticed maybe half as many construction workers as on a normal Monday. Again, it's just total, somewhat of a educated guess. But anyway, we're taking, this is the this is the northeast corner of the building. And that is one of the giant doors. And I'm sure they wouldn't mind if I flew my drone right inside that door and took a look around. You think? Sometimes they act like they're storing alien bodies here at Giga Nevada. They're very closed and tight-lipped about progress. Every once in a while, Dan Priestley will make an announcement. I don't know that he has ever replied directly or reposted or mentioned my drone video coverage. I don't know I should get into this, but I'll just finish my thought. I'm not quite sure if they tolerate me or if they like my coverage. I have no way of knowing for sure. It could be that they're just tolerating me and they would actually like me to go away. If they wanted free advertising for the Tesla program, you'd think they would engage in my videos in some manner or another, either on X or on YouTube, but that's not happened. So this is back to the subject at hand. We just saw, and I apologize, I didn't even talk about it, but there's a major junction box, access box, and these power lines, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's also interesting to me that those black power lines are not in conduit, except for as they come in and out of that box. So I think there is a type of insulated, weatherproof power line, and those are obviously heavy gauge. We know it goes down. It comes over from the Giga Nevada Legacy building area, comes along the new road that goes from the new gate to Giga Nevada proper, and then it comes down and into this junction box, and then you see how it actually goes left and right, and I'm not 100% sure if it goes straight also, but I think so, based on the number of conduit pipes. Okay, so here's new speculation. Perhaps this is a feed from a megapack array that we will see installed later. I have an idea where they might be installing it, and that would be the direction that they would go. It's not necessarily the straightest line, But it does avoid, by doing this, going up to that access road, they would avoid any future issues with having to dig up the area immediately around the factory. Here are those new loading bay doors, and there's a lot of loading bays. Much of the roof has been completed. We'll see in a minute, if we haven't already, that they're working on the caps for these walls. As you may know, those are thin strips of insulated metal, and they used a telehandler, basically, to install them. As a reminder, very little crane rental was required for this building because they used the BZI process and the MesMaster for installing the roof and the walls and the columns and beams and trusses. If you haven't seen all of that, I highly recommend you go back and look at it. And I have just created a Giga Semi list on YouTube, and I'll also create a Giga Semi list so that you can kind of see all of the progress going back to December and even before. So we are about to get into the stamping pit, where there's all of the foundation work. The speculation is, and I think it's highly likely, that they will not use the same metal columns and posts and BZI MesMaster for the stamping building, section G, but rather concrete columns, and maybe they will need to use a crane for that portion for building that portion of the roof. Here they had a concrete delivery, and at first I wasn't exactly sure where they were, if that was being delivered to the outside of the building, but it is going through a hole. Oh, good, we do get another look at it. You'll get a good look. It's going through this hole into the building. And from there, who knows if there's a small pumper moving it away, or if they're actually putting it right there. I doubt that. Chances are that they're moving that concrete somewhere else. Here's a staircase access to the roof. And as you can see, not all of the cap has been completed. It looks like, my best guess is they put a metal cap on it and then waterproof membrane to seal any of the joints. Lingering over the concrete truck. But in a minute, I get bored and I go over to the stamping pit. A look around, which I think is always neat. I appreciate the beauty of the northern Nevada desert. I used to make fun of it, and now I've grown to love it. Here's a good look at legacy Giga Nevada and the surrounding area, USA Parkway and the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center is expanding massively. And there's a huge building at the top of the hill over there, and I don't think you can see it very well, but I've been on the way in to the drone takeoff and landing location. There's a building being constructed up on a bluff using the old-fashioned technique of cranes, and they certainly have an awesome vantage point. That's the main entrance there on the right, and here's what I mean by all the work going on. That first southern smaller stamping pit had a lot of concrete poured since we last saw it, and And the majority of the work is all of these footings that are being dug on the side. And I imagine by my next flight, all of those footings will be complete. I am always amazed at the skill and artistry, actually, of a really good excavator operator. The way he articulates that excavator and digs a hole. And that gentleman in the yellow safety suit, I think we'll get a little better look, but he's measuring the depth and communicating to the guy or gal operating the excavator if he has to go deeper. And I don't think they want to go too deep. They have to not go too deep because backfilling is not good. Here's a long footing, and we get a straight down look at it. This, I believe indicates the perimeter of that building, although time will tell. If it's not the exact perimeter of the building, it's very close to it. You can see the mudded areas down below that they pour, as I've learned, to give a nice flat working area to build frames for the actual concrete forms. That's what I'm looking for. And all that metal there is used to build these rebar cages. And the funny thing is those cages look too big for the holes. Who knows what's going to go on here? Maybe those are sidewalls, or they're going to trim them, or it's an optical illusion. And there's another one of those long footings that I do also think represent the perimeter of the building. And if it's not the perimeter of the building, it's close to it. That is a crane operating, and in the background is the main entrance guard shack to Giga Nevada, where they prevent anybody from coming in so you don't see the alien spacecraft and bodies that they're storing in there. Anyways, like I said, a lot of workers. I think they're going full speed ahead on the stamping building. I don't think these people any of them took a day off. It seems like maybe more of the workers that were working on the inside and on other tasks on the surrounding the building. So we're going to get a lot of time looking at the both stamping pits, and this, as you can see by the insulated covering, they've poured the top of this stamping pit box or rectangular area, and that took quite a while for that section to complete. And I imagine that as you can see from them building the wall forms there, the similar activity is going to take place. So that tells me that they started this in December. I think they started digging the stamping pits first in December. It's 2.5 months to now to here. So I'm thinking we've got 3 to 4 months at least of activity on these complicated and very technical stamping pits to support some number of stamping presses. So we know that I think that they will need stamping presses, and of course they can use them, but they could repurpose them with different dies, but they need a stamping press for the frame, a heavy duty one. They need a stamping press for the inner body that we saw on my earlier video, where for the very first time I actually saw the inner body and space frame for the Tesla Semi. So that they need that. I believe that's stamped and then welded, and they need stamping presses for the body and doors of the vehicle. The entire Tesla Semi exterior is sheet metal except for the fiberglass fairing. So that's a lot of stamping. especially if you're going to put out 140 to 150 a day, you're not going to reasonably be able to bring those in from a supplier. You're going to want to produce them on site. And then would be very interesting to see the flow of the assembly line from here. You know, the stamping will be here at the far southwest portion of the building, and then you know, they're going to have a body in white sort of area. They're going to, the only thing I think they will continue to bring in is, or not the only thing, but one thing will be the plaid-like drive motors. And I don't know if they build those plaid drive motors here at Giga Nevada, at the Legacy building. I do know they build regular drive motors there, but I don't know that they build the plaid ones there. The plaid ones I kind of felt like were being built in Fremont. But if they're not exactly plaid motors, which, you know, they love to reuse parts, they're very similar to a plaid motor. My understanding is it is the plaid motor, but operating at a higher voltage and therefore producing more horsepower and more torque. And they've got 3 of them, but so does my Model S Plaid. But they obviously have more going on, or more demands. Here's the southern stamping pit that is really taking shape, and here's the big dog Tesla Semi looking over the factory and keeping away anyone from the alien bodies. I try to get down low here so you can see the factory behind it and kind of see perspective and scale. And this is just a nice indication of what this factory is all about. This factory is built to produce 140 to 150 of these a day. Mind-boggling to think that 150 of these a day, every day, will come out of this building sometime late 2026, with the ramp probably starting at the last fourth quarter 2025 initial configuration of the assembly line. But if you haven't seen the inner body, look for my Tesla Semi framed video, and you can see that for the first time in 2.5 years of following and being the Tesla Semi advocate, you'll see the inner body and space frame that we've never seen before, and that the sheet metal body is attached to. The cool thing about that video is you can see the center pedestal for the center driver's seat, which is a dead giveaway that it could be nothing else except for the Tesla Semi body. I think they should sell me this Semi when they're done with it. I have no idea what I'll do with it. I have mentioned before, I'd love to start a tow service. I don't have a CDL, but I could hire somebody. Love to have a tow service because I live like 20 miles from the Giga Semi factory and right next to I-80, one of the major trucking corridors in the nation. And I'd love to be towing broken down diesel semis for until such time as they're eliminated. I want to thank you for joining, and come again.